over my critiques I have with All Elite Wrestling, I'm not denouncing that I don't want to see people succeed, get over, because unlike many other feds that try to feel like they're the best wrestling company and all of this stuff I've said that made AEW out original, they do have people under contract. They have a national televised program supporting them, even though they mock the Turner Network for their previous failures over the WCW, getting bought out. And yet, Tony Khan still tries to presumably make himself in a hierarchy than guys that were getting ratings that are higher than most sports networks. That is possibly one of the most watched live forms of content other than pro wrestling at the time. Most of that you see, major ratings that are at least over 2 hours that people could watch, is SmackDown. In AEW, if it wasn't for the Jay Briscoe memorial episode, they wouldn't even get over 1 million viewers. That took over 7 months for them to even reach, without something majorly happening involving a passing. And AEW, over the previous episode that I actually reacted, you can see live over my channel, literally, the formatting was off. Either than to drive repetitive storylines or to make sure that they are relevant. Like ongoing feuds involving Paige that immediately comes from being back to like a mid-carder status after having like, this is my house and no, I'm not sucking anybody off while I'm in the locker room. Britt Baker getting sidelined over to just get Jamie Hayter over, and now Jamie Hayter is like a mid-carder. You have Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page, something that you could take months of build. No, it's Jon Moxley versus Hangman. Something like that should be headlining or at least a major part of a card for Revolution. And yet you guys have a questionable finish for something that opened over the match for 30 freaking minutes. Stop dragging over the wrestling for the sake of wrestling and show a reason why they're fighting. Wait to fight. You guys do these long-term storytelling, even though it's just hashed out matches to drag over for several months. And it's only sucked over because you guys have less of this. Sometimes it's easier to just show, to show not tell, and sometimes it's just explain why and do it later. It's kind of like building. Like you saw Rock and Cena interact, tag. You don't see them, and that happened over a 1 year period, and then these guys had their greatest show out match of the past decade, selling out WrestleMania 28. You got Omega, Jericho, Moxley, Hangman. Some guys you can make into stars. MJF is still feeling like a sideline guy after literally just trying to cash out to make somebody like Bryan Danielson somebody that's not that threatening over chasing for the title, and you still make him feel like the cowardly heel he is. This is not centralizing any heat, with him trying to get some midget luchador to try to get some heat on him so he can injure him for the pay-per-view for an Iron Man match. It's pretty underwhelming. It's just Tony Khan's formatting is just so either just wrestle-centric or just somewhat trying to make it like sports entertainment without most of the sports involved. So it's just a try-hard super indie. And people still stick to that notion, not knowing that there's sometimes a big upside. Like I remember, like the only good match that I remember fondly was Darby Allin vs. Samoa Joe, and that was the main event over two former world champions going at it at a grudge match that's been going on for a couple months of build. These guys, like literally, Hangman having some words to say to Moxley involving his wife, that's the interviewer, jumping on one another, having their own personal grievances, especially in Moxley literally coming out of getting himself out of alcoholism while Hangman's a regular drinker. Like, all this drama could have been built over for the pay-per-view, but it's not going to be formulated until, the last 2 weeks of something that takes 4 months to build. It's so freaking rushed, and I know not a lot of AEW fans are going to, conscrew, hey, what happened over the past several weeks to build over? Oh, these guys already wrestled before. What? So they're already making sure nobody that should be a star acts like a star, gets treated like a star, or at least gets built footage of a star. They could at least be like previously on AEW Dynamite. Anything to make this feel like a televised program. But no, I'm just being a hater. Because anything that forms an opinion that's not supporting them is apparently pessimistic and negative. And, like, that's so ridiculous. And I have something to prove. You know why? Because I actually reacted to the damn show. And this goes on every freaking week. We even had like a best of 7 6-man tag instead of having the Elite versus Death Triangle on pay-per-view. So why not just finish it on pay-per-view? You obviously have good wrestlers, but without like good build, it makes the matches feel like they're just there. Any other show could do that. You take like no other shows can do the same type of moves and matches like AEW does. But the way you build upon it actually makes it more satisfying. But that's just my opinion. So get ready for a forced over like 2-week build for 15 matches on a pay-per-view that barely half of your audience is going to watch. Tell me how you guys feel about the Tony Khan's formatting and booking. Other than that, that's it for me. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to hear more of my content. Of course, Super Bowl predictions are coming out very soon. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your weekend. DST show out.